Let's look at this first part. By the way, these first 11 verses in Isaiah 58 is why I've chosen the prayer of St. Francis for our call to worship during Lent. Because it reminds us to take the focus off of ourselves, to put the focus on God, and to live out the heart of God as we live on this earth. Amen. So let's go and let's look at this. The first 5 verses. Jesus and his disciples are walking through the grain fields, picking up heads of grain and eating them and rubbing them in their hands. Doing it on a Saturday when they shouldn't have been working. Those bad men, amen, having no regard for the Sabbath, having no regard for the Lord's Day, having no regard whatsoever. Bless their hearts. We need to set them straight, don't we? I bet you if you would have let them, they'd have taken that grain into the church. God forbid. Amen. I know I'm kind of on a soapbox. That's all right. I'll be off. God forbid, but I want to tell you something about these disciples and something about the Pharisees. The Pharisees were too busy judging that they forgot to follow God in the field. Amen. The disciples were following God in the field. Let's keep that in mind. The disciples were following God in the flesh, in the field. Do you see that in this picture? Being a disciple, we follow Jesus wherever he leads us, even if the church people will speak against us. Amen? Amen. Even if the bishop doesn't like it, we're going to follow Jesus. Can I get a witness? Amen. Even if Sister Bertha better than you, in the words of Ray Stevens, sitting there judging, don't worry about it. Just follow Jesus. Amen. I'm also mindful as I read these few verses and then I'll move on. I remember one time in college going to a pastor and his wife of another denomination invited me out to eat. And being a college student, you'll take any food you can get. Right, y'all? Take any food you can get that is not the cafeteria or ramen noodles. So I went out there, we were eating at this restaurant, and the preacher's wife began to be very not so nice. She wasn't very nice to our waitress, and I asked, is anything wrong? She was really sweet in church. And she said, yes, it just bugs me that these people are working on the Lord's Day. I'm not going to say what went through my head. And I was like, well, then why are we here? If we weren't here, they wouldn't have to work. Amen. I think that's kind of what these Pharisees were like. They were too busy judging others and trying to keep them bound to a religious ritual that they forgot to look at their own sin. Amen. Disciples of Jesus Christ, we follow Jesus. And we bless those who have to work on Sunday. Amen. We realize that sometimes that piece of wood in the pew might be empty, it might be blank because the person had to go follow Jesus through the carbon black plant, or the Phillips plant, or any other plant that's out here. Lynn and Eagle's Nest, and I think I got that right. Or United. They have to follow Jesus to the grocery store. Or Walmart. we do the best we can, but we realize that the Sabbath wasn't created for us to be enslaved to it. The Sabbath was created for our benefit. It's created so that we can rest. We have to realize that in our day and time, sometimes somebody's Sabbath might be on a Friday. It might be on a Tuesday. And we need to allow them to follow Jesus and to rest with Him on that day. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see the church packed out on Sunday morning. Amen. I'm going to do my best not to judge those that have to work. In fact, we have one this morning that was called out. He has to do some things. He has to work. Which is why I had to give the announcements this morning. God is a God of grace, and we follow Him wherever. And, sometimes somebody has to go to the grocery store on the Sabbath to get something that they need. Maybe their babies don't have milk. Maybe they realized their pantry is not as full as it should have been. Amen. Or there is that something at Walmart that you have to get that you can't live without until tomorrow. Whatever that something is. By the way, I know I'm preaching to the choir. I haven't heard anybody complain about that stuff here. But we've all seen those attitudes. We've all experienced them. Amen. Jesus said, I am the Lord of the Sabbath. The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. If we follow Him, we don't have to worry about the religious ritual. The religious ritual will follow us. Amen. The psalmist put it this way, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, because I put my trust in God and I follow Him. Amen.